Stop everything you are doing right now. Put down your phone for just a moment. Close the other tabs competing for your attention and silence the noise around you. This message is not meant for everyone. It has come specifically for you. You are getting married soon, and that marriage will bring a major relocation, perhaps to another city, a distant region, or even a country you never imagined calling home. The great explosion you have been waiting for has finally arrived, but before that door opens completely, this message demands your full attention. Do not receive it as ordinary encouragement. Do not allow doubt to interfere with what your spirit has already recognized. Most importantly, remain silent about the private details God is placing in your heart. Not everyone has the faith to understand what is being prepared for you, and some people may unknowingly plant fear in the very place where heaven has just planted hope. Archangel Michael says, "This message did not find you by accident. Heaven is interrupting your old routine because your divine timing has begun. The life you are living now is not the final picture. The room you are sitting in, the roads you travel every day, the work that drains your strength, and the habits that have kept you trapped inside the same cycle will not define your future. A new address is connected to the covenant approaching your life. A divine door has already begun to shake behind a wall your natural eyes cannot yet see. Perhaps you have felt it through a strange restlessness, through nights when sleep would not come, or through the growing realization that your current environment has become too small for the person you are becoming. This is about you. Stay until the end, because the final secret will reveal why your marriage and your relocation were never two separate events. If your spirit recognizes this sacred signal, comment 777, "I am ready to move forward." Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs confirmation, but do not reveal your private plans until the timing becomes clear. What you endured during the last 365 days was not evidence that God had forgotten you. It was proof that He had been quietly preparing you for the breakthrough now approaching. The last 365 days were not ordinary. They pressed against your faith, exposed the wounds you tried to hide, and forced you to confront the terrifying possibility that nothing in your life would ever change. You watched other people receive the very things you had prayed for: marriage, movement, new homes, open doors, while you remained in the same place, carrying the same unanswered questions into another sleepless night. You smiled when others celebrated, but behind closed doors, your heart was exhausted. There were moments when the silence became so heavy that you wondered whether heaven had stopped listening. You began to question your timing, your worth, and even the promises you once believed without hesitation. But hear this carefully, that season was not empty. It was a furnace. Every disappointment burned away an illusion. Every closed door protected you from entering a life that looked attractive but could not carry your destiny. Every delay forced your roots deeper, because the future approaching you will demand more strength than your old version possessed. You were not being punished. You were being fortified. You were not abandoned in the wilderness. You were being taught how to recognize God when there was no visible road, no immediate answer, and no human evidence that anything was moving. The enemy wanted those months to convince you that your story had ended. He wanted the repetition to numb your spirit and make you accept survival as your permanent condition. But the pressure did not destroy you. It revealed what could not be taken from you. You kept praying. You kept getting up. You kept carrying a hope that should have died under the weight of everything you endured. Now the stillness is breaking. The fire has finished its work. The season that almost buried your faith has become the ground from which your breakthrough will rise. And the clearest sign is already appearing. The life that once felt familiar no longer feels like home. Something inside you has changed, and you can no longer pretend that it has not. The city is still the same. The streets have not moved. The walls around you still look familiar. Yet the life you once accepted now feels strangely distant. as though your spirit has already stepped beyond it while your body remains behind. Places that once comforted you now leave you empty. Conversations that once held your attention now feel shallow. The routines you fought so hard to build have begun to feel like chains around a future that is trying to breathe. Do not dismiss this feeling. This restlessness is not confusion. It is a sacred signal. God is not allowing you to remain comfortable in a place that can no longer contain your assignment. The pressure you feel is not proof that you are losing your direction. It may be the very force separating you from a season that has already expired. Something greater is calling you from beyond the borders of what you know. And every time you try to silence it, the pull returns stronger. Perhaps a particular city keeps appearing in your thoughts. Maybe the name of a country has followed you through dreams, conversations, unexpected opportunities, or moments of prayer. You may have no family there, no clear connection, and no logical reason to imagine yourself living there. Yet your spirit reacts whenever you hear its name. That is not something to treat carelessly. A hidden key is turning inside a door you cannot yet see. Light is beginning to break through the cracks of your old life. And heaven is forcing you to notice what fear has tried to make you ignore. The territory ahead may look unfamiliar, but unfamiliar does not mean unprepared. You are not being pulled toward emptiness. You are being drawn toward a place connected to your covenant, your purpose, and the version of you that cannot emerge where you are now. But hear this warning: do not confuse divine preparation with reckless impulse. God does not lead through panic, chaos, or desperation. He confirms, He aligns. He brings peace beneath the urgency. Pay attention to what repeats, what deepens, and what refuses to leave your spirit. What place has been returning to your mind again and again? A city, a country, or a region you cannot explain? Write only its name in the comments, or declare, I recognize the signal. Because long before you felt this pull, another woman followed a mysterious road, and that single move changed an entire bloodline. Ruth did not step onto the road with certainty in her hands. She carried grief, unanswered questions, and a future so unclear that no reasonable person could have called it safe. Behind her was the land she understood. Ahead of her was Bethlehem, a place she had never built a life in, a place that offered no guarantee of comfort, recognition, or success. Still, when Naomi prepared to leave, Ruth made a decision that would outlive her fear. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Ruth 1:16. At that moment, Ruth did not know the name Boaz. She could not see the field where provision would meet her, the favor that would distinguish her, or the marriage that would restore what loss had taken. Bethlehem looked like a destination, but heaven saw it as an intersection. One road carried Ruth out of mourning. Another was already bringing Boaz toward the appointed moment. Their meeting was not created by chance. It was hidden inside obedience. That is why the place connected to your future may not make sense at first. The road can appear empty before the right people enter it. The new city can feel unfamiliar before it becomes the ground where your life finally takes root. You may think you are leaving behind security, while God is quietly moving you toward the person, provision, and purpose that could never reach you inside your old boundaries. Ruth did not wait for every answer before she moved. She allowed faith to carry what understanding could not. Her willingness placed her inside a story of restoration so powerful that her name became part of a lineage reaching all the way to Jesus Christ. A widow entered Bethlehem with almost nothing, yet her footsteps opened the door to a legacy greater than anything she had lost. Some roads do more than change your location. They change your name, your household, and the generations that come after you. And now another ancient journey is about to reveal why God sometimes gives the command to leave before He reveals the promise waiting ahead. There comes a moment when God no longer asks whether you are comfortable. He asks whether you trust Him enough to move without possessing every answer. Abraham reached that moment when the Lord said, "Go from your country, your people and your father's household to the land I will show you." Genesis 12:1. Notice what was missing from that command. There was no complete address, no explanation of the road ahead, no financial guarantee, and no promise that the transition would feel easy. Abraham was given a direction before he was given the details. The destination would become visible only after obedience placed his feet on the road. That is what makes your season so serious. You are not merely being asked to imagine a different life. You are being prepared to release the one you already understand. The hardest part of relocation is rarely packing boxes. It is facing the possibility of leaving the people who have known you for years, the family members who live nearby, the church where your name is familiar, the job that pays your bills, and the small routines that quietly became part of your identity. Even the coffee shop, the neighborhood streets, and the view from your window can become emotional chains when your destiny begins calling from somewhere else. The familiar does not have to be evil to become limiting. Sometimes the place that protected you in one season becomes the place that prevents your expansion in the next. That is why this decision may feel like a storm moving through your heart. One part of you wants the promise. Another part wants the guarantee. One part sees the divine door. Another keeps reaching backward for the key to a room God has already told you to leave. Abraham moved while the future was still hidden, and his obedience became the doorway through which nations were blessed. He did not receive the full blueprint before taking the first step, because faith is not possession of every detail. It is confidence in the one who already sees the entire road. You may not yet know how the finances will align, where the work will come from, or how quickly a new place will begin to feel like home. But uncertainty is not the same as abandonment. When God truly leads, He does not send you into emptiness. He goes ahead, prepares provision, arranges connections, and reveals each answer in the order you are strong enough to carry it. Do not rush ahead recklessly, but do not remain imprisoned by the demand to understand everything first. The blessing attached to your obedience is greater than the comfort attached to what is familiar. And this is where the message becomes even more personal. The person approaching your life is not arriving alone. That person is carrying a geography, a calling, and a territory that will change the direction of your future. Marriage will not simply place a ring on your hand. It will place a new territory beneath your feet. The person entering your life is connected to more than affection, companionship, and shared dreams. Their arrival will alter the direction of your days, the reach of your influence, and possibly the very nation in which your future unfolds. Heaven is not merely bringing two hearts together. It is bringing two assignments into alignment. This is why the question of location has carried so much weight. Perhaps you and this person live in different cities, and neither of you knows who should leave. Perhaps an opportunity has appeared in another country. Yet accepting it would require releasing everything that currently feels secure. Maybe one of you senses the move strongly while the other is afraid of losing family, stability, or control. What appears to be a practical disagreement may actually be the place where your faith, unity, and discernment are being tested before the covenant advances. Archangel Michael says, the relocation is not a punishment, and it is not an interruption. It is part of the sacred assignment attached to your union. Let those words settle deeply. The new place is not waiting to separate you from the life you love. It is waiting to reveal what the two of you were designed to build together. There are doors that will remain closed while you stand alone, because they were created to respond to the authority of agreement. There are burdens too heavy for one person, visions too large for one set of hands, and territories that require both of your gifts operating as one. Your spouse may carry the courage you need when the road becomes uncertain. You may carry the wisdom that protects them when opportunity arrives too quickly. Together, You will possess a spiritual strength neither of you could generate alone. That is why this is bigger than romance. Romance may introduce the relationship, but purpose will sustain it. The new city may become the ground where your business begins, where a ministry is born, where your children are raised, or where strangers become family. It may hold the mentor who recognizes your gift, the community that strengthens your marriage, or the opportunity that finally releases the abundance you could never access in your current environment. Still, surrender does not mean abandoning wisdom. Do not follow pressure, manipulation, or empty promises in the name of faith. True direction will survive prayer, honest conversation, practical examination, and time. God is not threatened by your need for confirmation. When the path is truly His, peace will remain beneath the seriousness of the decision. So ask yourself honestly, are you willing to release your demand to control every detail when God makes the direction unmistakably clear? If this speaks to you, declare in the comments, I surrender the address. But I will not surrender discernment, because before your body can enter a new territory, your spirit must first be released from the season that is already ending. A relocation does not always begin with a ticket, a suitcase, or a signed contract. Sometimes it begins on an ordinary evening when you open a drawer and suddenly realize that half of what you have been keeping no longer belongs to the person you are becoming. It begins when an old conversation leaves you drained instead of comforted, when a familiar room feels strangely temporary, or when you drive through streets you have known for years and sense, without being able to explain it, that your spirit has already said goodbye. This is the part of transition that few people understand. Before your physical surroundings change, your inner world often begins to loosen its attachment to the old season. Friendships may grow quieter without a dramatic argument. Opportunities you once begged for may lose their power over you. Habits that once distracted you may suddenly feel unbearable. You may even feel guilty because nothing is visibly wrong. Yet something inside you refuses to settle. In my view, one of the greatest mistakes people make during this stage is trying to resurrect what God is allowing to become complete. They keep forcing dead conversations, reopening closed doors, and shrinking themselves to fit environments that no longer recognize their growth. Not every ending needs an enemy. Not every distance is betrayal. Sometimes a relationship has simply completed its assignment in your life, and holding it beyond its season turns gratitude into bondage. Imagine a tree before a violent storm. It does not carry every dead branch into the wind. What is dry must fall so that what is alive can survive. In the same way, heaven may be removing emotional weight before the journey begins. God is not emptying your life to leave you abandoned. He is creating room for the people, responsibilities, and divine connections waiting in the next territory. Still, do not become cold or reckless. Spiritual separation does not give you permission to dishonor people, disappear without explanation, or treat every discomfort as a command to leave. Release with maturity. Bless what is ending. Learn what it came to teach you. Then stop building permanent homes inside temporary chapters. Have you noticed yourself quietly detaching from something you once believed would always remain a friendship, a routine, a workplace, or even an old version of yourself? Place your hand over your heart and admit the truth. Perhaps the move has already begun within you. And now comes the moment that will prove whether you truly believe what you have been hearing, because faith does not merely recognize an approaching door. Faith prepares before that door opens. There is a difference between hoping for change and preparing for it. Hope looks toward the door. Preparation walks toward it. And this is the hour when your faith must become visible in the way you organize your life. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:1-9. The new thing may still be hidden from your eyes, but your response can begin before the evidence appears. Start with what is already within your reach. Put your documents in order. Check your passport. Gather certificates, records, employment files, and anything connected to marriage, travel, or immigration. These may seem like small actions, but small acts of obedience often become the first stones in a road God is building. Do not wait until the opportunity arrives to discover that fear, disorder, or delay has left you unprepared. Look honestly at your finances. Save with intention. Reduce the expenses that keep feeding a life you may soon outgrow. Divine provision does not cancel stewardship. A miracle can open a door, but wisdom helps you walk through it without panic. The floodgates of abundance are not an excuse for carelessness. They are an invitation to become responsible for what you have been praying to receive. Then examine your surroundings, your closets, your drawers, your storage spaces, even the objects you have kept out of guilt or memory. Some things belong to the chapter that is closing. Release them, not because they are evil, but because you cannot enter a new territory while dragging the entire weight of the old one behind you. Every unnecessary burden consumes strength you will need for the journey ahead. Research the places that continue to return to your spirit. Learn about work, housing, schools, transportation, culture, language, and community. This is not an attempt to control God's blueprint. It is a way of saying, I am listening, and I am willing to take this seriously. Faith is not blindness. Faith pays attention. Most importantly, prepare your inner foundation. Pray specifically. Ask for unity between you and your future spouse. Ask for confirmation that remains steady beyond emotion. Ask for the wisdom to distinguish divine urgency from human impatience. The right path will not require you to abandon discernment. So, what is one practical action you can take this week? Renew a document, begin saving, research a city, clear a room, deepen your prayer life, write it in the comments as a declaration. I am preparing for what I prayed for. Because 1 year from now, the life surrounding you may be so different that even you will struggle to recognize the person who once believed nothing was changing. Picture yourself 1 year from now. Morning light enters through a window you have never seen before. The room is unfamiliar, yet for the first time in years, your spirit feels settled. Beside you is the person you once prayed for in silence. Outside is a city that once existed only as a name in your thoughts. But now it holds your routines, your responsibilities, your laughter, and the beginning of a life you could not build where you were before. The fear that once kept you awake has become a testimony you tell with tears in your eyes. The documents were approved. The money came together. The right door opened. The people you needed appeared at the exact moment you could no longer move forward alone. A stranger became a mentor. A new community became family. An opportunity that seemed impossible found your name. What once looked like risk now looks like divine timing. And perhaps the most powerful change will not be the new house, the new job, or the new city. It will be you. You will speak differently because survival is no longer controlling your voice. You will carry yourself differently because the wilderness did not defeat you. You will look back at the person who cried during the last 365 days and understand that every unanswered night was preparing the strength required for this new life. Some people who knew your old season will struggle to recognize what has happened. They saw the delay, but they did not see the preparation. They saw the closed doors, but they did not know heaven was redirecting your path. They saw you standing still, while God was arranging an entirely different future beyond their sight. Hold that picture in your heart. Do not worship it, but let it remind you that your present condition is not your final address, because now you are ready to hear the final secret, the truth connecting your marriage, your relocation, and the territory waiting for both of you. Now you are ready for the truth that has been hidden beneath every delay, every closed door, and every unexplained pull toward a different place. Your relocation is not merely something that may happen after your marriage. It is part of the marriage itself. Heaven prepared the territory before it introduced the person. The address existed inside the blueprint long before you knew who would stand beside you there. That is the final secret. The person coming into your life is not arriving only to love you, comfort you, or fill an empty space. They are carrying a piece of the assignment you could never complete alone, and you are carrying something they will need in order to enter the future prepared for them. One of you may hold the vision. The other may hold the courage. One may recognize the door. The other may carry the key. When covenant joins what heaven has placed in both of you, a territory that resisted you separately will begin to open. This explains why certain prayers seemed delayed. Perhaps the relationship could not move forward because one of you was still emotionally tied to an old place. Perhaps the opportunity did not appear because the city was not ready. The finances were not aligned, or the necessary connections had not yet been positioned. What felt like silence may have been precise divine coordination. God was not ignoring your request. He was preventing you from arriving too early at a door that had not finished opening. Archangel Michael says, "The address connected to your destiny was written before you knew the name of the person who would walk there with you." Do not hear that lightly. Your future is not being assembled in panic. The timing is aligning. The person is being positioned. The ground is being prepared. Provision is moving through channels you cannot yet see. Conversations are happening without your knowledge. Decisions are being made in rooms you have never entered. What appears still on the surface may already be accelerating beneath it. Your marriage will not merely change your relationship status. It will change the reach of your life. The new territory may become the birthplace of your family, your work, your ministry, your restoration, or a legacy that continues long after you are gone. And now only one question remains when the door becomes unmistakable. Will you have the courage to say yes? This is your moment of decision. Not because every detail has been revealed, and not because every fear has disappeared, but because you now understand that your old season cannot carry the future God is placing before you. Say yes to the covenant. Say yes to the preparation. Say yes to the new territory. Say yes to the version of you that could never be born inside the walls of your former life. Fear no longer has permission to imprison you. Doubt no longer has the authority to reduce your vision. Familiarity cannot become a cage when a divine door is opening before you. The pain of the last 365 days was not wasted. Every lonely night, every unanswered prayer, every disappointment, and every moment you thought you had been forgotten was building the strength you will need for what comes next. You were not delayed without purpose. You were protected from arriving before the right time. You were protected from choosing the wrong person, entering the wrong place, and building a permanent future on temporary ground. Now the alignment is beginning. The old chapter is closing. The covenant is approaching. The road is becoming clear. The address connected to your destiny is already written in heaven. You are not lost. You are not too late. You are simply moving toward the place where God's grand design has been waiting for you. If you receive this message, declare in the comments 777, "I say yes to God's timing." Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone standing at the edge of a new beginning. Your season of waiting is ending. Your new life is calling, and the door has already begun to open.